we've got an old friend of the stream on the line. Donald James, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Hello.
All right, good. Everything's checking out. Check, check. Okay.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, yes, good, good, good.
How's it going?
Oh, it's going good. It's going good. Uh, just chilling like a villain.
I caught I caught a little of your well, not your live session, but the recording of your playing the other day. I appreciated it.
Oh yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well,
What? Hey, real quick, what's the deal here? I see that you've got, I believe it's "We Don't Need Another Hero" by Tina Turner on your
I
track
do.
lists there, but I have never heard you take a whack at it.
That's because I gotta
What
practice
gives?
it. I gotta practice it again. It's kind of a hard
All right,
song. It's kind of it's something you have to remember. Uh, it's like an odd key. It's an odd key, but
true, and you're up there
yeah,
with the pan flute playing. It's gonna be a difficult one, but one day you'll do it again, and I hope I'm there for it because that's an old
uh,
favorite.
well, I'll do it.
The
I'll do it.
Baker's dozen cats.
I'll do it just
Well,
even.
excellent. What did you have in mind? What do you want to talk about?
Well, um, Trump. I guess Trump did,
He
and
did. Yeah.
uh, shoot.
Brutal.
I actually don't. I really anything to talk about. Nothing comes to mind
That's all good. I have a suggestion then, and
unless
this
you
is
want to bring up a
I
topic.
welcome anybody. I do.
Right?
And feel free to switch it to whatever you want, whenever you want. But here's what's rattling around in my brain. How do we reach inactive voters, people that don't normally vote? What comes to mind when you think of that as a problem to solve? Let's start with this. Do you know inactive voters? Are you aware
Well,
of people in your life that
yeah.
don't vote?
Well,
What's the
yeah.
deal? Why do they say they don't vote?
Well, like in my house, nobody votes here because the Jehovah's Witnesses, and
Ah,
Jehovah's
you can
Witnesses do
be yeah.
not. So you're not going to convince.
No, no.
I've had with with like an elder. They call them elders, like top dogs of the congregations.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
I used to work with him, and he's right wing. You know, uh, religious people are right wing, right? And
Sadly true.
right. So I used to work with him. He would come pick me up. Into politics too. When I like every day,
Mm.
I just discovered TYT, um, and at the time because what else better.
Yeah.
um, some people you're just convinced to vote. They're an example.
No,
You
that's
know,
true. And I would say Jehovah's Witnesses are a rare case where I wouldn't even try, simply because it's
right?
literally a matter of religious belief. The Watchtower Society says, we will be in the world, but not part of it. I understand that. But how about those folks who are out there that don't have necessarily a religious inspiration and just don't vote? Does even if it's a bad idea that you later think I take it back, does anything jump to mind? Or how about this? What made you first get interested in politics?
And well, if you want me to go, well, I've always been like
What made you PYT?
um, well, first of all, I've always been right. I
Sure.
I wouldn't have categorized myself like a progressive back then when I was I've always believed in human rights, all the common sense stuff, and
Yeah.
when I got older, those views until because even when I was younger, I've always liked Michael Moore,
Ah.
and so I even though
Yeah.
back then, I wasn't political back then, but his movies made me think, oh shit, and then it gets in your mind. It wasn't until I saw his movie Sicko, that I
Okay.
started, and the way he compared how other countries have healthcare, but we don't. And I really started diving into into cable news, and then I was on YouTube all
Yeah.
the time, anyways, back in those days because I was listening to music on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Started looking back into like 2009, and
Hmm.
TYT popped up in the algorithm, and I saw Chank back then, and he was tearing into what's her name, Sarah Palin. Sarah
Oh,
Palin,
yes. Good days.
you know, I got hooked, and then I got hooked on TYT ever since. And so that's how I got into it.
Okay. I mean, that seems like a pretty logical chain of events to me, and
Right.
I wonder how much of that we could replicate. I wonder what the well, let's just dive into it. What when you were first seeing like Sicko, and you were looking at other countries and realizing that they, in some ways other folks have it better. Was that like a surprise to you? Did it change the way you viewed the country you were in?
Absolutely, because I did not know that. I wasn't aware. You know,
Mm,
I
maybe that's that. I mean, that might just be the
go ahead.
core of it right there. Just turning and pointing at England and saying like, if somebody wants to get patched up there, it costs them nothing. Pointing at Canada and saying, if somebody wants to get patched up there and they're a citizen of Canada, costs them nothing. I, that
Right.
that's an interesting way to view it. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
certainly appreciate it.
So I that's why when they national polls and every, everything's like progressive, like the topic
Yeah.
issue, you know, everybody's progressive,
Yeah.
but they don't. Nobody can go up to
Yes.
you can go up to anybody. You can go up to anybody and be like, "Oh yeah, free healthcare. That makes sense to me." Or not free health, national healthcare, and
Yeah.
common sense. Just common sense. People active is a hard question.
I think you've hit on the core of it by starting with showing that the things we're talking about can be done, and in fact have been done, and in fact are being done elsewhere, and
Yeah.
then go from there. Say, well, guess who's in charge of making that happen? If you want it here, politicians. Pick the right one, put them in the job.
Yeah. My mom keeps telling me that I'm, I don't just recently Gavin Newsom is now going to jump in the race.
For president,
Yeah. Okay.
I'm
That's
looking
what.
that
Okay.
up.
Yeah. Look it up. I
It's
mean,
a rumor. It's a
that's
rumor.
a
Let's have
rumor.
a look.
I don't know. So get on the ball. Let's figure this out.
Uh, so he
I got.
obviously he hasn't officially announced, but I'm not seeing. Let me put it like this: I don't see him even hinting at the announcement.
Okay.
But between us chickens, I mean, come on. He did that debate with Ron DeSantis. He's been making the
Yeah.
rounds talking about national issues. I think your mom's right. I think
I think
he's
that's what she
sharpening
meant.
his
Yeah.
knife.
Right. Right.
Oh,
Well, okay. Well,
honest opinion here. There are no wrong answers. It's just your gut feeling. If Gavin Newsom got the nomination tomorrow through some random happenstance, would you feel more or less confident about November against Trump?
I think if Gavin Newsom would openly advocate for being pro-Palestine and making the argument that if he will stop Netanyahu, I will not fund. If he was to say back, if he was to jump into the race,
I suspect you would be right. Here's my thoughts on it broadly. I would assume that that's just him reading the political winds, and it would make me very happy because it would mean his assessment of the situation is more optimistic for me than mine. I don't think that the average Democrat, much less the average voter, has the same view of Palestine that progressives do.
right,
I think the sort of people who represent the average voter have listened to maybe 10 minutes of coverage about this in the last 6 months. So that's a hell of a hurdle. But that said, it's pretty hard to ignore the numbers. And the numbers are, I think we're at 30,000 civilians killed.
yeah.
Eventually,
Yeah.
that dam will break.
Yeah, and all Gavin would have to do if he's running is hint that cease fire and go in the other direction, or that stop, right? And
Yeah,
all you guys see, progressives will pick up on it.
absolutely.
Like that, and but he won't have to make it a major part of his campaign.
True. He would really only need a head nod to it, and we would pick up that ball and run with it. And I have a live correction for your old pal Jake. You were right, Donald James, and I was wrong. According to the anti-corporatist, 52% of Democrats want a ceasefire. That is 52%. So that's a net gain. That would be the right move. Let's hope.
Well, yeah,
that. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Joe Biden
Democrat.
says, you know what? That's enough presidenting.
Right, Democrat. Yeah, I mean, about that part, that is true. Like how the DNC would treat him if he did say that.
Oh,
yeah,
but honestly, Newsom is such a middle of the road.
No, I know.
Yeah, and there's a lot I don't like about Newsom, but there's also some benefits to the very things I don't like about him. He's such a power player, that like a deal maker, that I honestly think he could pull off slightly more radical policy just by virtue of the fact that he's got so much leeway with some monsters. Donald James, thank you for calling in. I'm going to switch over to our next caller, but I appreciate you once again jumping in and helping out.
Yeah, it was nice of you.
Yeah, it was nice speculating with you too. I'll see you around, brother man.
All right.
Oh yeah, a good person to look at, Gavin Newsom. Good Lord. Because, like it or not, I suspect he is on the path to a presidential run. It's a realistic thing to look at for the future.